Thank you so much, Susanna, for being with us today, celebrating the 10 years of Wikidata, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and this is an interesting moment to maybe look back and forward and at this point of time, and think also contextualizing in the world what's happening right now. So my name is Susanna Ånäs. I represent the AvoinGLAM community in Helsinki, Finland. We work with open access to cultural heritage since 2012 and have recently been supported by the Wikimedia Foundation. So going back to the beginning, I don't know, this is what is an image that describes the beginning? And I was looking at all kinds of Genesis imagery, but ended up with this picture of an onion anyway, peeling the onion, seeing who was first, where did the word, how did we come to call this open access to cultural heritage? And this is also my take on what open access to cultural heritage is and where it's heading. And we are now starting to peel. So this is what I found about being the first mention of GLAM online. I found this post on Twitter in a thread discussing what had been the first instance of the acronym. And apparently this originated in Australia. GLAM is probably what is now, I will tell you how GLAM became to known also as open access to cultural heritage. Liam Wyatt, an Australian, came up with the model of Wikimedian in residence when he approached the British Museum and asked to be conducting Wikimedia-related activities there. This collaboration format with the memory institution later became very popular. The concept GLAM Wiki also dates back to the same epoch. And going at the same year, I have trouble with my notes. Bear with me. Just a second. Oh no. I know it. I don't know if I can do this without my notes, but I can try. I can talk about these first ones at least.
Would you like me to share the presentation and then you can follow your own?
That would be so nice, because I'm really messing around with this mobile, and I will be then watching my notes on my own computer.
Yeah, then I can share. It's fine.
That would be nice.
So I will share my screen. Okay. Share and wait, I guess. So
I'll tell you, like, next slide, please.
Okay, so we were here.
We're in
here.
Yeah. Okay. So OpenGLAM was an initiative, was born as an initiative to host a network of people who work to open up cultural heritage and content around 2010, when the Open Knowledge Foundation received a grant from the European Commission as part of the Digitized Manuscripts to Europeana project. And the OpenGLAM working group worked on a set of principles for memory institutions as guidelines for opening collections, images, and metadata. These guidelines were accommodated from the open definitions that the Open Knowledge Foundation had worked on. Both these principles are still valid for opening data at institutions. And on this next slide, I have the the OpenGLAM principles as condensed into these 4. So it's about data formats and practices. And the metadata is supposed to be opened as a Creative Commons Zero waiver. And at the same time, the Europeana was also requesting all the data from the institutions stored at Europeana to be shared with Creative Commons Zero. And that was also the same time when Wikidata started. So it was a kind of a common understanding around the whole sector that Creative Commons Zero is the way to be able to make data available in a way that allows them to be put together and exchanged across domains. And the second part is about what came to fruition only now, how digital representations of works in copyright, that where the copyright has expired, that are in the public domain, that they should not be copyrighted, that there should not be any additional copyright of photographers' rights be put over them, into them, that would keep them from sharing. And with a European-wide regulation, the copyright, the digital single market regulation, this is hopefully becoming now a practice across Europe, but it has not been put into practice everywhere yet. And then you can see the rest of them. These were very the key ones. Let's go to the next one. So OpenGLAM. Wikimedia chapters and volunteers picked up this activity, and GLAM wiki activities bloomed over the next years. The OpenGLAM network went into silence for a while until it was picked up by Creative Commons in coordination with Wikimedia and Open Knowledge actives in around 2018. I'm not like 100% sure of the year now. The research paper towards a declaration of open access for cultural heritage by Andrea Wallace was paving the way for a declaration. Fast forward COVID and other happenings, and we are currently at a situation where Creative Commons runs the Creative Commons Open Culture Platforms program and has incorporated GLAM into their certificate program. The Wikimedia Foundation hosts a team for GLAM by the name Culture and Heritage now, and GLAM activities characterized almost 70% of activities that the Wikimedia chapters work on, which is, I think, a very striking revelation. Let's go to the next one. And we, meaning we at AvoinGLAM, believe that cultural heritage belongs to all. Well, I can say that I think we all believe that cultural heritage belongs to all. With this in mind, we have transformed the meaning of the acronym GLAM from the institutional galleries, libraries, archives, and museums into global languages, art, and memory that talks more about the content rather than the institutions. And the next one. And so the Wikimedia projects connect these different aspects of our work together. With a combination of many elements, miracles start happening. And as always, the elements are not immediately apparent to the spectator. There are thousands of volunteers and professionals involved in importing, maintaining, and quality checking data on Wikidata. Computer programs, applications, and bots feed data to Wikidata even more than humans do. Wikidata is connected to thousands of external resources through statements, and people in institutions enrich Wikidata by contributing their data to it. Next one. And so there's Wikibase and the underlying technology of Wikidata. It also powers the structured data on Wikimedia Commons. On Wikimedia Commons, it's possible to depict items in images using concepts in Wikidata, or from Wikidata that are stored in Wikidata, and describe the media files with Wikidata properties. As this data becomes available and queryable, media can be presented based on the content, context, and properties of the images. Next one, please. So I'm going to pick up some themes from our plans at AvoinGLAM and associate around them a little bit. So we wish to highlight undocumented and underrepresented histories and less common ways of representing knowledge. Wikimedia projects define their scope by establishing notability criteria and other practices that govern what gets published and what does not. This is especially challenging for information from the margins. The mechanisms of exclusion are deeply rooted in the socio-technical setup of the projects. While knowledge equity is a major strategic direction in the Wikimedia 2030 strategy, the discussions at the Reimagining Wikidata from the Margins event at the Wikidata conference last year called for the use of knowledge justice instead. There's a lot of interest in the Wikimedia movement around different aspects of excluded knowledge. One is the gender balance of both content and contributors, which is really striking. The proportion of biographies about non-male people have gradually been notched from the depths of 15%, but still not globally higher than around 20%. But don't quote me on that. I didn't have the time to check that number, but I will definitely correct it if it's wrong. The global distribution of content is weighing on the global north. The epistemological questions around the knowledge that the data in Wikimedia projects represents, how it's gathered, how open it is, are all challenging at close inspection. We have an interest in what I call small memory. Historical research that ordinary people do to record where they come from, where they are situated, where they belong. The information often falls outside the scope of institutions, and Wikimedia projects may reject that as non-notable or unverifiable. Oral history and intangible heritage are also hard to include. Next one, please. However, we cannot imagine having all the world's knowledge in Wikimedia projects, although it's the Jimmy Wales slogan Wikimedia uses. Imagine a world in which every single person on the planet is given free access to the sum of all human knowledge. So decentralized knowledge bases may be a step in that direction. Wikidata has launched the idea of federated Wikibases, where Wikidata is one of the connected nodes that can share information between one another, and the shared data structures help in doing that. Linked data is, in general, is doing exactly the same thing, but the exchange between the systems is not as easily available. And I would maybe at this point want to say that I might not, fill the whole hour with this presentation that I have written, and as you can see, I'm reading it from my notes, and I will just do it as quickly as it needs, and then I would be happy to have your questions, or we could talk about things that came up during this. And for example, these concepts, I don't know how familiar you might be with them, so let's just talk about them at the end of this I don't know, paper, whatever this might be. Right, anyway, let's go to the next slide, please. So there are already a lot of Wikibase instances launched, and here are some examples. So I think we might go one by one. The next one, please. Yeah. So Prism Artbase is an archive of born digital artworks from 1999 to the present day. The next one. And enslaved.org is a discovery hub in information about peoples of the historical slave trade. And the next one, Lingua Libre aims to build a collaborative multilingual audiovisual corpus under free license to expand knowledge about languages and in an audiovisual way, and to support the development of online language communities. And this last one that I picked up does not really have a site, but it's a super interesting project. It's EAT plus LOD project, Wikibase project at the Pratt Institute in New York. It seeks to find new ways of using archival documents as a source for linked data. Experiments in Art and Technology, EAT, was an organization founded by Robert Rauschenberg and Billy Kluver that operated from the mid-60s to the late 70s and produced a lot of very interesting artworks, very hard to maybe even describe, let alone preserve. So from these Wikibase projects back to Wikidata. Wikidata is amazing for languages. There's no comparable environment for recording and making use of concepts across languages. Wikidata supports by default all the more than 300 languages that there are Wikipedias for, and additionally extra hundreds can be configured. So what could this be used for? In GLAM, the most obvious case is to provide tags in the native language. In Finland, we are involved in a project where the National Library translates the general Finnish ontology into Northern Sami language. The concepts will be made available also on Wikidata. Tagging content becomes possible across the world using tags in Northern Sami. The tags can be used for images in Wikimedia Commons, for example, using the ISA tool, which you can see here in this picture, that has been developed for the Wikilabs Africa contest. And next slide, please. So in working with ethnic and indigenous communities, we must explore safe and ethical sharing practices to share information that is more private, belongs to smaller communities that is contested. Not everything can be shared, but not opening at all is not the ideal solution. Otherwise, we might risk losing the historical track of these communities. What is legally in the public domain may be collective property of an indigenous community. Moreover, it may be secret or sacred or restricted by community rules. The tools to develop range from legislation such as a folklore clause in some jurisdictions or GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, legal tools such as open licenses that could be complemented with additional conditions in the future iterations, ethical frameworks such as traditional knowledge labels and best practices that professionals in the GLAM field follow in their work. The goal should be to advance consensual sharing of certain types of relatively sensitive information, for example, indigenous traditional knowledge or private information that could be otherwise either completely blocked open without restriction. So next to the next one. This is a picture of a Depictathon project in an event 2 years ago, when I don't feel very comfortable having it here, but I still didn't maybe have the time to change it all. So, but anyway, I will talk about exactly that here. So it's crucially important not to reproduce colonial exploitation structures. The saying "nothing about us without us" is often in the context of activities with indigenous communities. The current movement toward open data and open science does not fully engage with indigenous people's rights and interests. The CARE principles for indigenous data governance were created to define the rights of governance of indigenous peoples to their data in the context of the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. CARE is an acronym for Collective Benefit authority to control, responsibility, and ethics. These principles have been created to extend the more technical approach of the FAIR principles for data. And just here in the next slide, there is a brief intro to the FAIR principles. So Wikidata makes data spectacularly fair. It's findable, it's accessible, it's interoperable and reusable. And these principles have been created specifically for scientific data. And to the next one. So in our plans, we also appreciate multimodal knowledge. That is a more central way of communicating online, and the open ecosystem and the Wikimedia project should focus more on that. We wish to tackle challenges related to visual imagery online in our activities. So next one, please. Wikidata powers global photography contests such as WikiLove's Monuments. Local Wikimedia affiliates gather data about significant cultural properties into Wikidata, and lists of these sites can easily be presented on Wikipedia, maps, or external applications. People participate in these contests by photographing these sites and submit their photos through the different listings. All photographs have information about the sites that they depict. A transition is going on from listing these sites on Wikipedia pages manually into listing them on Wikidata. The yearly WikiLove's Monuments is the forerunner and flagship of these contests, and there are several other WikiLove's contests that can follow the same pattern, such as WikiLove's Earth, WikiLove's Africa, or WikiLove's Folklore. This image shows a page for cultural heritage site during the competition time for WikiLove's Monuments in Wiki Documentaries, which is a kind of Wikidata browser that has been developed by us at AvoinGLAM. So next one, please. So data about data visualization and visual storytelling. The data in Wikidata lends itself to be explored and presented in many visual ways. And the query service has inbuilt data visualizations for exploring and presenting the data. The query results can also be downloaded as datasets, or computer programs may query the data through APIs. The data stored in Wikidata is also connected in rich ways to media and data in Wikimedia projects. Through the thousands of authority IDs in museums and vocabularies, the data can be used to make precise queries. Also in external repositories, including media objects of different kinds. Only imagination limits how this data can be presented and how these connections can be used to enrich the data, both in the Wikimedia projects as well as in the connected repositories. At AvoinGLAM, we are launching a pilot project on data visualization with design students at Aalto University in Finland and the WikiLove's Dataviz project of the Wiki World Heritage User Group. And the next one, please. So this reciprocal connection between the memory institution and Wikidata has been coined as data round-tripping. When an institution sends its collections data to Wikidata or images from the collection to Wikimedia Commons, it's likely that the data is getting enriched with contributions from the users and the computer programs that work relentlessly on the data. The users identify people in the images, categorize images, write and translate descriptive texts, and add the images to Wikipedia articles. The institution would be very interested in getting back this data and syncing with the already evolved local data. So it's actually, both are evolving at the same time. This idea has been experimented on, but it has not been widely adopted. Next one, please. Let me see. So I did not have time to make proper quotes from this, but I must say that this was a very interesting session, a panel that was broadcast maybe like a week ago. It was chaired by Denny Randacic, one of the founders of Wikidata, and with Markus Krötz, another founder, and Lydia, the manager for Wikidata, as well as some other guests, talking about or looking back at the 10 years of Wikidata. And one thing that I would like to pick up from this like a bucket of interesting ideas is the question of why do not students pick up Wikidata data sets more, and that he makes Markus Krötz makes this statement, and he says that the data sets that are used instead are often stagnant, they don't evolve, and they might therefore have a lot of outdated information, whereas Wikidata continually evolves and is therefore more up to date because it's more recent, and many other reasons. But as I cannot remember everything by heart, I will just make a note that please do have a watch this discussion. There is a link in these slides, and you will also find it by searching on the internet. So next one, please. So this is what I actually want to make as my statement with this whole presentation, is that Wikidata may well become an arc of verified information in the world of disinformation and other disturbances. And next one, please. So at AvoinGLAM and in the GLAM Wiki community, we have started to address the different threats that jeopardize cultural heritage as well as humans and the environment. For example, Wikimedia Czech Republic and Wikimedia Switzerland have started working with the ICOM red lists of cultural objects at risk for curbing the illegal traffic of cultural objects. The Wiki World Heritage User Group has organized documentation of UNESCO cultural heritage sites in danger. The fires, floods, hostilities, and neglect that destroy collections and cultural heritage sites call for open access policies and open sharing to prepare for the worst. What could be done before it happens, and what to do if it already did. Next one, please. So there are new concerns regarding artificial intelligence and open data sets. There are several risks associated with them. Open data sets are the ones that can be legally used to train AI. It has both good and bad effects. The more representative the data set is, the more aware the AI system is of the containing elements. Another point picked up from the Wikidata 10 years discussion is to start innovating around fighting disinformation with the help of Wikidata. The meticulously curated data set of Wikidata has the opportunity to be a healthy reference point for fact-checking by humans as well as AI. Next one. Oh yes, I just wanted to say, sorry about this picture. How many of you must have guessed, and like the internet is flooded with the DALL-E pictures. So this is one of them. And on the top right is the the sentence which this image is based on. So Wikipedians, museum professionals, and librarians in apocalyptic scenery, Renaissance painting. I have a few other of these very much alike, and yes, I think it describes the atmosphere very well. And next one, please. So we have arranged, we at AvoinGLAM have arranged a hackathon or a co-creation event or a peer learning event, however we want to call it. We don't want, it's not a hackathon because it's not so technical. It can be technical, or it's about creating together, but it's also, you don't have to create, or you don't have to code, or you don't have to be like super intelligent and skilled and crafty and artsy, but you can also learn together and learn from each other. So I don't have a word for that yet, but we still call it a hackathon. It's called Hack for OpenGLAM twice, as part of the Creative Commons online summits 2020 and 2021. In 2021, the theme was knowledge equity. And for the upcoming one in planned for October 2023, we wish to invite everyone to think about how we can work in the face of environmental disasters and hostilities that pose existential risks to humans, environment, and cultural heritage. So maybe this is just the point where I say thank you for this, and maybe we'll. I really hope that we can have a chat. There's so much time left, or we could, go to one of the sites and see how they work or something.
Sorry, I was navigating through sharing screen and presentations. I don't know if anyone has a question. If not, I have some, so maybe I can start, and maybe people can open their microphones or write on the chat. Everything is fine. I have a question about specifically the AI challenge in art creation, and specifically using the open data sets that we create. And we know that, for instance, Wikipedia, Wikidata, Wikicommons, it's built by volunteer communities. How to negotiate these parties and with new technology, because we can't prevent the progress, but the progress is quite aggressive, I would say.
Yes, this is quite interesting. I see like completely new developments in Creative Commons and in the discussions around open data in general. I was wondering if I should have included some thinking from Open Future think tank in these slides, but I think that because I don't know them so profoundly myself, I might have trouble citing them, but I can actually probably pretty easily give a link to that. And they are working to maybe like reassess maybe the whole question of openness, but they have the question of openness in there. Oh, you have it already. I was just opening the browser.
Yes, I can fetch those links. And Open Future have developed very interesting essays and work. I think it might be worth noting that some of the people on Open Future have kind of migrated from Creative Commons and this open GLAM background. And I would also like to ask if the move from the GLAM, from galleries, libraries, archives, museums to that global languages, arts, and memory, if you feel like it actually resonates with people more, that to shift from the institutional side and put it on the heritage side?
I think it's a very interesting question in many ways. I think that partly the understanding about GLAM is rooted in the institutional context, and that is somehow, in some sense, considered the scope. But when we talk about working with GLAM, and then we actually, specifically in the Wikimedia context, and also maybe more broadly, I think we are by nature talking about more broad contexts of cultural heritage. And I see it also quite symptomatic that both Creative Commons and Wikimedia have changed the language around this GLAM. And as Wikimedia, well, sorry, Creative Commons calls the GLAM activities GLAM and no, open culture. And Wikimedia has shifted from GLAM and culture into cultural and heritage. So I think this talks about that, because although I understand that this acronym is a very useful tool for the global community, but the connotations, the institutional idea, the idea of an institutional context is something that we probably all want to get a little bit further away from. It's not that, you know, we wouldn't like to work with institutions, but it's to be limited to that. Yeah.
And you, sorry, and at the beginning of the talk, you mentioned about the problem that exists with public domain works, reproductions, and digitalizations, and how in the copyright reform, the EU copyright reform took so long to take place, and in the end we're still struggling with these types of events. I would like to know if you could share a bit more of, for instance, what happened in Finland, and I think it's a very interesting case. If you could share it with the group.
You mean the oh yeah, the National Gallery? Okay,
I think it was the yeah.
Yeah, it's not exactly the Telegram is using my microphone. I don't know why. Okay, let me see. Yes. Okay. Well, maybe going first to the legislation, because there are maybe two different stories, perhaps interconnected. The first one is about the legislation. It's still not, I can't remember the word, transposed in Finland. It's not, it doesn't have the legal status yet. The copyright, the new copyright law. We had quite a progressive, very good, internationally progressive legal proposal to be passed on for the new copyright law, but it was then completely overturned by a change of personnel in the very last phase of this, and it led to maybe a complete turmoil over that this open community that the needs and the wishes of the collecting societies had been taken into account and prioritized like maximally. So what it then, and also it was the time then when the war in Ukraine started, and I think then there started to be other priorities for legal, for the parliament. So at that point, so I think that these are the reasons why it's still not some legal terms. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know the word here. Yeah, it's not finalized. Yeah. So, and the second, the one that you probably referred to, right? It was a claim by the National Gallery of Finland, or the director of the National Gallery of Finland, making maybe a provocative blog post that they are going to overturn the public domain marks of the or designations of their works online and replace them with some kind of their own terms of service in order to be able to monetize and to make experiments with Web3. And so we wrote a response, like an internationally collected comments about this practice, and maybe I don't know, the course of action or the universe maybe is in harmony with us, because since then the crypto scene has completely melted, and I think it has given more emphasis to what we were saying. So this experiment is now has now been produced, but I don't think it has changed or that I think we had. I think that the GLAM sector in general agrees with our approach that the crypto scene might not be the place where to bring the cultural heritage of that belongs to everyone, but the question remains how the museums and other cultural heritage institutions can monetize or make their living. But I think that should not be what we are against. I think we should be encouraging them to find innovative ways to make money. Yeah, but maybe not, capitalizing on the commons.
Thank you. I don't know if anyone has a question. No one raised anything on the chat. I think it was quite a rich presentation, so I think it's a lot to take in. Selena says, love the presentation. So yeah, either way, we will be sharing the open future links and all these links. We are collecting all these links into one big email, and hopefully when all the presentations are online, we will share them all with you. So that's great. And I was gonna say, yeah, so the next session is at 3:30, is hosted by Luís Ramos Pinto, who will be talking about opening museum collections. I would invite you to stay, Susanna, because I think you'd really like it. It's in Portuguese, I think.
I think I can have my little Portuguese antenna.
Yes. Also, I believe you will be putting your slides on Commons.
Yeah, probably.
At some point.
See that I okay. Attribute everyone like.
Perfect. So yeah, we will collect all these links at some stage and unite them. Thank you so much for being with us, and I hope you enjoy your weekend. And yeah, I'm gonna stop recording.